to the battle in Seattle. The talk will be trade, but demonstrators are already grabbing the headlines. The battle for control in Chechnya. Russian troops fight to cut off another rebel supply route. And the battle to get home from the Thanksgiving holiday. This year, travelers are winning. From CNN Center in Atlanta, this is WorldView. I'm Andrea Hall. We begin in Seattle, where the world's largest trading partners are gathering for talks to lay the framework for a new global economy. Delegates to the World Trade Organization will begin 4 days of meetings on Tuesday. The agenda includes talks on dismantling European farm subsidies. The U.S., Canada, and Australia say the subsidies are unfair, but the European Union insists they are necessary to preserve jobs in rural communities. The U.S. and the European Union stand together on the issue of labor standards. Other major issues include debt relief for some developing nations and environmental protection. As trade negotiators try to agree on issues inside the talks, thousands of protesters are expected to air their grievances outside. CNN's Rusty Dornan reports.
They've scaled great heights, including the Sears Tower, marched on the streets of San Francisco, and hung from buildings in downtown Seattle.
We are trying to send a message.
Demonstrators who want the World Trade Organization to change its ways. When members of the 135 countries meet this week, protesters say they'll be there en masse.
There are going to be upwards of 20 to 30,000 people in the streets of Seattle on November 30th, the day that the WTO's talks will begin.
Yeah? Come on, let's go.
No one knows how many, but some will be practiced protesters, having attended demonstrator boot camps where getting arrested is expected. In Seattle, demonstrators will include environmentalists and their new partners in this battle, the labor unions.
We look upon the WTO meeting in Seattle as the opportunity to be in the streets demonstrating against the policy of this country, basically making a very strong statement that what's going on at the WTO is not in the interest of workers.
The AFL-CIO plans a massive march and rally on opening day. Rarely has the exchange of goods between countries inspired such passion.
What we've never seen in the U.S. are mass coordinated national rallies on trade issues.
Environmentalists say the trade organization weakens environmental laws. Labor fears global abuses of workers' rights and low wages abroad. And both are angry to be left out of negotiations.
So what we're looking at in Seattle is a debate over the rules of the game and how the environment and labor will be treated, whether they will be debated elsewhere or whether they become a core part of the discussion surrounding trade.
Protesters may not become the core discussion inside the conference halls, but they plan to lead the discussion outside. Rusty Dornan, CNN, Seattle, Washington.
For more on what may lie ahead at this week's trade talks, former U.S. Trade Representative Carla Hills joins us from Washington. Welcome, Carla, to our program.
Thank you.
Protesters have been there all week long. What effect do you expect it to have on the talks this week?
The protests won't make the occasion pleasant for our visitors, and I'm sorry for that. Seattle's a beautiful city, and there's so many good things that could come out of a good negotiation. If I were to talk to the environmentalists, you know, we have environmental pollution that comes from poverty. Countries burn wood and demolish forests, and they burn coal and put particles in the air. And with good rules, like opening up energy services, we could make a difference for the rich and the poor and have a much better environment. But it's going to take us all talking together to make that happen.
There are a lot of issues on the agenda for the week. A few of them: how to help the world's poorest nations, how to expedite some 30 countries into the organization, one of those countries being China. Of those three issues on the table, which ones do you expect to be accomplished?
China still has negotiations to complete with other nations, but I do think the agreement that it has struck with the United States is very good for China, very good for the United States, and very good for the Asian region. So that one will stick, I believe. And the other issues that are troublesome is just to get a good agenda for the negotiations. That has not been accomplished, and I hope that that can be done by the ministers while they're there. I hope they don't throw up their hands and say, we can't get it done at this occasion.
The purpose, of course, of the World Trade Organization is for its members to develop external trade policies. But in the case of China, where there are internal policy issues and human rights issues, how big of a hurdle do you think it's going to be for China?
It is a very big hurdle for China because it is trying to restructure its state-owned enterprises, which are in the red, but their accumulated debts exceed the assets of the banks that finance them. And by opening up their markets, they force their companies to compete, and they get government out of business. But it's painful. The process will be painful. There'll be bankruptcies and unemployment. But at the same time, they will move to a market economy, and the future will be better than the past. And that's good for the world at large. We applaud China's efforts in moving in this direction.
You believe that the U.S.-China trade deal is critical. How would you convince Congress of that?
I think that we can identify the things that are very good for the United States. We want to open up the agricultural markets for U.S. farmers. They've had a hard time during Asia's slowdown. China gives them that opportunity. Really, the agreement that China has struck is much better than what we already have from members that are in the World Trade Organization. China's going to cut its tariffs lower than entities that are already in the trade organization. So it's a big benefit for the United States, and I think that Congress can be convinced of that.
Carla Hills, former U.S. Trade Representative, we thank you for being here on Sunday.
Pleasure.
Russian planes. They are taking aim at the last major supply route to the Chechen capital, Grozny. Troops have surrounded much of the city where Chechen rebels remain dug in. Grozny's mayor says airstrikes have killed more than 260 people since Thursday. Russian officials deny civilians have been killed and say they are offering the few who remain in Grozny safe passage out of the city through a special corridor. Conflicting reports are emerging about an Allied attack in Iraq. The Iraqi news agency says U.S. and British warplanes bombed an elementary school in the northern no-fly zone. The report says 8 people were wounded, including 3 children, in the town of Mosul. But Pentagon officials say they cannot substantiate the report. The Pentagon says coalition planes bombed Iraqi military targets in the northern no-fly zone after they were fired upon. Sinn Féin, the Catholic party intent on uniting Ireland, is welcoming the Ulster Unionist Party's approval of a peace compromise. The Unionist Party voted Saturday to join in a power-sharing government before the IRA hands in weapons. Sinn Féin leaders worry about the Unionists' new February deadline for turning them in. CNN's Nick Robertson reports from Belfast.
The day after a huge political breakthrough in Northern Ireland, its people are feeling closer to their dreams of leading normal lives.
There's a very intense hope, very muted hope, you know, in the sense that it's not a very flamboyant hope, but there's a hope that is there, and there's a willingness to let change happen.
Our attempts to renew ourselves and as a community.
Priests from this Catholic church and the neighbouring Protestant community have been instrumental in recent years, convincing paramilitary gunmen to put down their weapons. The hope in these communities now is that those gunmen will hand in, or decommission as it's known here, those weapons.
We just need to get some decommissioning there and get that out of the road, and then we can get on together. There's no problem with most people here.
Despite the political advances towards peace, Belfast is still a community divided. Huge so-called peace walls separate Catholic and Protestant housing. However, the heavily fortified interreligious gateways through those walls are now a more common thoroughfare, as hopes of normality built in recent years inch closer to fulfilment.
Well, there's going to be employment, there's going to be tourism, there's going to be everything. Just togetherness for the first time.
But there are still political hurdles ahead. This week, in the new government, or assembly as it's to be known, Catholic and Protestant parties are expected to divide 10 key ministerial jobs between themselves before the British government will give them power.
When the new Northern Ireland government gets its administrative powers later this week, politicians hope the hardliners, opposed to peace on both sides of the divide, will be marginalised. However, political debate within the Assembly will be fractious, and compromise and progress just as hard to achieve as they have been in the past.
While the British government will retain the right to overrule the new Assembly, its people are already looking to it as their best hope, possibly their only hope. Nick Robertson, CNN, Belfast, Northern Ireland.
It is supposed to be a tribute to a fallen leader, but it's turned into a controversy that's opening old wounds in Israel. That story ahead on WorldView. And the lines to get home from the holiday, an update on travel across the United States coming up next.
Only Puerto Rico sounds like this. Only Puerto Rico puts it all within your reach.
As you might expect, Keller and I don't see eye to eye on investing. I like to avoid risk. Keller's a little more daring. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, the first site with trading tools customized by Lycos to fit your unique way of doing things.
Look, the market's up, or in your case, down.
Power Street Online Trading. To find out how you could win free trades for life, visit Fidelity.com.
A typical day for the IT manager. Everyone wants everything now. Luckily, CDW, your direct solutions provider, can custom configure solutions from 50,000 top name products, like the complete Compact line, including the ProLiant server, designed to save time and money. With solutions powered by Compact, CDW will never leave you hanging. Compact and CDW, the smart comb for business.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
Today on CNN, from system crashes to mega mergers, America Online has come a long way in a short time. It's business unusual, defining the new economy, in association with Arthur Anderson. Today, 6:30 Eastern on CNN.
On the next millennium, the age of enlightenment sparks revolution as democracy is born in America, and in France, a monarchy ends. On the next millennium, tonight, 10 Eastern on CNN.
In the United States, airports are pretty much busy with people returning home from the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. The Sunday after Thanksgiving is typically the busiest travel day of the year. Airlines expect to fill 9 out of 10 seats. You're looking at live pictures now from the Charlotte Douglas International Airport in North Carolina. An estimated 2.2 million people are expected to fly home today. So far, there are no major weather delays reported. The busy traffic scenario is being replayed over much of the country today. Karen Shaler with CNN affiliate WHDH in Boston, Massachusetts, has the story.
Amtrak's Northeast Direct Service.
The travel rush is on, and hectic is an understatement, especially when you're Glenn McClure, flying with 2 kids across country. The biggest challenge?
Putting up with the kids. But no, just trying to get the keep track of everybody and all the packages and stuff. And
thousands are flying through Boston's Logan Airport trying to get home after the holiday. The Sunday after Thanksgiving is always packed with travel headaches.
I missed the flight that would have gotten me to Kennedy for my flight to Madrid tonight. Now I'm just scrambling.
Believe it or not, despite the huge crowds, not everyone's waiting in long lines at the airport. Thousands are here, hitting the railways, trying to get home after a hectic holiday weekend.
Pretty busy. Lots of people. Crowded.
Crowded because on this Sunday, 500,000 travelers are expected to ride the railways. But this is where you'll find your biggest group of travelers, bumper to bumper on the highways.
People need to leave as much time as possible for themselves. They should expect traffic, and that way they'll hopefully be psychologically prepared to avoid that frustration.
So whether you're battling these long lines at the airport or you're handling the hassle on the highways, this travel day is living up to its reputation as being one of the busiest travel times ever. I'm Karen Shaler for CNN.
But is the weather going to hold out? Let's check in with Chad Myers, who's in our CNN Weather Center.
Andrea, literally one airport giving us trouble tonight. Of the hundreds across America, San Francisco, the one that's giving us the most trouble. The average delay into San Francisco is 59 minutes. So far, the longest delay has been 165 minutes. That's almost 3 hours now. So that's a long time if you're sitting there waiting for a flight or a plane to come in that's just not there yet. Otherwise, some lake effect snow coming across New York, parts of Michigan, and also down to Ohio later on this afternoon and into this evening. Temperature is going to be fairly cool tonight as we expect that cold air finally running in across the lakes and the cold air making lake effect snow all the way now from about upstate New York all the way down into the Cleveland area, those higher areas to the east of Cleveland, those mountain areas could really get some snow today, up to 8 inches of snow by tomorrow evening. A windy system rolls onshore in the Pacific Northwest. We'll see winds. Now we do have wind advisories for the mountain areas all the way from just to the east of San Francisco all the way on up into Washington as that system rolls in from the west. Also, the snow still continuing for tomorrow night and into Tuesday. Not going to be stopping anytime soon. So if you are in one of those snow belts, get ready for 4 to possibly 8 inches of snow there along the lakes. Otherwise, teens and 20s for lows tonight across the north, 40s and 50s down to the south. And then for tomorrow, we warm up again back up in the west, warmer than the east, 50s and 60s here, where the 30s all the way down even into the northern sections of Washington, D.C., going to have a high tomorrow of about 40 degrees. The same story for Wilmington, Delaware, quite cool. So get ready, get out the woolies. It's going to be a chilly one. The only problem tonight, if you're driving, will be along the lake shores in New York, Pennsylvania, parts of Ohio, into Michigan. Take your time. If you do see some snow coming down, you're going to have to slow down just a touch. Right now, the temperatures are very close to freezing. As the sun is setting, temperatures are going to get below the freezing mark, and we're going to get some icy highways. Bridges will freeze first. Be careful there. Andre, back to you.
Thank you, Chad. A father in Cuba is fighting for his son's return. Controversy over a little boy rescued from the waters off Key Biscayne. His story just ahead.
And you, there you go. Okay, let's watch a video. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. Good. All right, stay. What about some books? Books are good. There's some books. Nap time. Okay, that's for you and for you. Okay, get comfy.
This moment made possible by a husband who knows his diamonds. BlueNile.com.
Let's see some D.
Log on to dsports.com, the ultimate online sporting goods store. dsports.com. Seize the D.
One reason you work so hard is to enjoy the good things in life. And if you're getting financial advice you can trust, your biggest worry should be whether or not the fish are biting. At Raymond James, we have no products to push or sales quotas to meet, so our only interest is in helping you maximize your financial success. So instead of waiting for your ship to come in, you can already be on board. Raymond James, committed to your financial future.
Do you know what your money is doing right now? What if you could put it to work? Start by saving money on internet access and investing it with JB Oxford.
We're the only discount brokerage that gives you free internet access. Don't pay hundreds for the internet. Call 1-800-JB-OXFORD. Please, put your money to work.
I'm watching you, CNN.
Now for a look at our WorldView Minute. Polls open shortly in Malaysia's first general election in 5 years. The opposition, led by Azizi Wan Ismail, the wife of former Deputy Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, is hoping to end the ruling party's majority in parliament. Anwar is in prison after being convicted of corruption. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad is hoping to retain his majority in the parliament to vindicate his treatment of Anwar and validate his loyalty and the loyalty of his party. U.S. billionaire Donald Trump tells CNN he would spend close to $100 million of his own money if he decides to seek the Reform Party's nomination for president. Trump also says he'd consider making General Electric CEO Jack Welch his running mate. A 5-year-old Cuban boy who was one of 3 to survive an ill-fated attempt to flee Cuba in a boat could become the focus of an international custody battle. The Cuban government says Elaine Gonzalez's father wants the boy returned home to Cuba. The government says the child was taken from Cuba illegally. His mother died at sea. As many as 46 people were injured when a pipe bomb exploded in a crowded restaurant just outside Cape Town, South Africa, Sunday. No one has claimed responsibility. A series of bomb blasts in and around Cape Town last year were mostly attributed to a Muslim vigilante group. A memorial for slain Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was intended to unify Israelis. Instead, it's doing just the opposite. 2 small words inscribed on the memorial are stirring up controversy and reopening old wounds. CNN's Gerald Kessel has more.
Israelis pause briefly at the spot where 4 years ago Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated because of his peace policies. A memorial recently unveiled intended to unify Israelis in horror at the memory of how a young ultra-nationalist, Yigal Amir, gunned Rabin down. Instead, it's reopening old wounds. Religious Jews object to 2 small words in the memorial inscription. It states Rabin was killed by a young kippah-wearing Jew, a reference to the traditional skull cap worn by religious Jews. The Tel Aviv mayor ordered the offending passage to be covered up, saying it's an unwarranted stigma against a whole group of Jews. An amended inscription will omit the words skull cap wearer.
He didn't come from the kippah-wearing people. He came from a right-wing small group of an ugly and devil and evil and whatever you want, that gave him permission or the right to do it. But this is not the kippah-wearing people in Israel.
But he was. This is a historic fact. He was a religious Jew, and he was sent by the rabbinical decision. Don't try to wipe out history, because those are facts. By wiping it out today on this text, you're not going to change the history.
Yigal Amir claimed his action was sanctioned by Jewish law because of Rabin's willingness to give up the West Bank for peace. Argument has raged ever since over what lay behind the murder.
Was Yitzhak Rabin's assassin truly only a lone killer? Or was he the product of a prevailing atmosphere which saw in the Prime Minister a threat to her faith?
Rabin's widow fears it'll be ominous for Israel if this battle is lost.
Capitulation to the religious command, you really paved the way for another murder.
The argument continues to grip Israelis.
He was sent by his ideas, by his personal religious belief. So it's a very relevant fact, the fact that he was a religious person.
They are our people. And I'm not religious. You can't, because this is what is dividing our people.
Nor is it an argument that's likely to end soon, just as the wounds of the assassination are unlikely to heal soon. Gerald Kessel, CNN, Tel Aviv.
The battle for internet dollars is a battle for some companies' very existence. That story coming up.
Searching for the perfect. A typical day for the IT manager. Everyone wants everything now. Luckily, CDW, your direct solutions provider, can custom configure solutions from 50,000 top name products. Like the complete Hewlett-Packard line, including the color LaserJet. With printing solutions powered by Hewlett-Packard, CDW will never leave you hanging. HP and CDW, the smart call for business.
There's nothing like the way I feel after a good night's sleep. That's why I love my Tylenol PM. For me, there's just no reason to have trouble sleeping. I take Tylenol PM before bed. It stops my pain and helps me sleep. So I'm ready for another great day.
Only Puerto Rico sounds like this. Only Puerto Rico puts it all within your reach.
They have substance, integrity. They're the individual pieces that contribute to a greater good, making lives less worrisome, futures more secure. They are the agents of New York life. Their humanity is the stone with which this company was built. They are why New York Life is the company you keep.
Price is no object to some advertisers who want to show their stuff during the Super Bowl on January 30th. The average price for a 30-second commercial, a record $2 million. Internet companies have bought about 20% of the commercials in the Super Bowl. Some are spending more on the commercials than they've generated in profit. Ads for .coms are already flooding the airwaves. E-businesses are hoping their commercials will draw more shoppers. CNN's Peter Viles reports there's a lot at stake as businesses compete for holiday dollars.
Amazon.com has tons of toys.
If it's not an internet giant like Amazon, it's a newcomer like Eve.com.
Searching for the perfect holiday gift? Eve.com.
And if it's not a newcomer, it's a network-supported site like NBC's Snap.com. But in every case, the theme is the same, a frenzy of advertising by e-commerce companies.
It's almost a sink or swim proposition for a lot of these companies. They have to invest heavily to attract new users.
By one estimate, e-commerce companies will spend $600 million on advertising in the fourth quarter, nearly as much as they spent in all of last year. And some analysts believe that plays into the hands of established retail brands.
Fortunate thing for many of these land-based retailers is that they actually have their marketing expense and they're able to just add another line to their advertising or to their shopping bag so they can really leverage their marketing expenses.
Old-fashioned retailers are already a big factor in online retailing. Edward Jones estimates that during last year's holiday shopping season, 60% of the gifts that were purchased online were purchased at websites set up by traditional retailers. Peter Viles, CNN Financial News, New York.
I'm Andrea Hall at the CNN Center in Atlanta. Thanks for being with us. For viewers in North America, Business Unusual is next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Bell Atlantic, your guide through the wiles of communications.
I would begin my presidency with a commitment to less government, less tax.